I was cutting strawberries for a baby named Cake when my sister stood up and ruined the afternoon. It was a backyard barbecue, plastic forks, charcoal smoke, kids chasing bubbles across my parents' patchy lawn in Tacoma. I had a dish towel over my shoulder, and the polite widow smile I'd been practicing in the mirror for 6 weeks. Then Sienna tapped her glass with a fork. "My son needs his birthright," she said, voice, bright eyes, too shiny. Rowan is Noah's child, and Noah promised him half of Mara's house. The world stalled. Forks froze over paper plates. My mother's jaw dropped. My father's hand tightened around a sweating can of lemonade. A cousin took out her phone even though she knew she shouldn't. Someone's Bluetooth speaker played a cheerful pop song that suddenly sounded obscene. I put the knife down. I didn't drop it. I didn't gasp. I didn't faint. I breathed once and decided not to explode. Because the thing Sienna didn't know, the thing that had carried me through the last month like a secret hand on my back, was simple. Noah couldn't biologically father anyone. Maybe not a long shot. Not ever. "Can I see what you've got?" I asked calmly. She smiled as if we'd rehearsed. From a leather folder, she pulled a single-page codicil embossed with a gold notary sticker that looked like it came from a craft store and a handwritten letter on hotel stationery. "I love my son Rowan. If anything happens to me, he should have an equal share of the home at 207 Shoreline. Noah Hale." Only one problem. My husband never wrote in cursive. He printed block letters like an architect because chemo had wrecked his fine motor skills. And he never called our place Shoreline. He always said the bungalow. I didn't laugh. I wanted to. I wanted to laugh so hard my ribs ached. Instead, I read the paper, nodded once, and handed it back. "Thank you," I said. "Let's not do this over hot dogs." Sienna blinked. She'd expected screaming. She'd expected the spectacle. She'd come dressed for it, new white dress hair, glossed heels sinking into the grass. What she said: "You're just going to ignore your nephew's future." I kept my voice level. "We'll talk privately. Today is for Rowan." People exhaled. Conversations restarted in weird little bursts. My mother looked like she might faint. Dad stared at the fence like it had answers. I set the knife down with the strawberries and picked up the matches. I lit one candle on the cake, then another. Let me back up. I'm Mara Quinn, 31. I design kitchens for a living, which means I know how to arrange a room so things flow. I was always the steady one. In our family, that translated to Mara will handle it. Groceries, bills, car registrations. Sienna is 27. She's always been the bright one. Shiny. Her job title changes weekly, but it usually includes the word brand. She tells stories that make people lean in. She also leaves messes that make people tired. 6 years ago, I met Noah at a street food festival when my hands were full of tacos and napkins. He took one look at the situation and said, "Here, I've got you, then." Opened the lid of a cardboard box like it was a tray. He was 35 when he died. A chef, a good one. Big laugh, gentle hands, a habit of remembering everyone's kid's name. He had beaten Hodgkin lymphoma at 23. The cure saved him and stole his fertility. We tried. We sat in quiet clinics staring at posters of smiling babies. His frozen samples were non-viable. Mine were fine. The math never changed. We grieved that quietly and built a life around different dreams. We bought a weathered cedar bungalow near the water for $795,000 a number that still made us gulp. We sanded floors. We fixed the porch swing and painted the door the color of late cherries. Because Noah said all red doors are lucky. He opened his own restaurant, Copperline, and on Friday nights, I sat at the bar with ginger beer, watching him dance across the line. We talked adoption, then paused when his mom got sick. We told each other, "You and me is enough," and meant it. Sienna met a guitarist named Zeke, who wore his amp like a personality. They broke up, got back together, broke up again. Somewhere in there, she got pregnant. She said it was an accident. She said it was fate. She posted an ultrasound photo with a heart emoji, and 10,000 people she didn't know said congrats. I bought a tiny blue sweater and told myself love isn't finite. It stretches. 6 weeks ago, just after lunch service, Noah's heart stopped. He was plating seared salmon and fell like someone cut a string. Undiagnosed cardiomyopathy, the coroner said. No signs, no second chances. I learned that quiet can make you dizzy. The bed became an ocean. The front door creaked like a ghost. People brought casseroles and stories. Cooks from Copperline filled my fridge with soup. Our neighbor mowed my lawn without asking. Sienna sent a text with a heart and a crying face and let me know if you need anything. I didn't trust myself to answer. My parents insisted I show up for Rowan's naming barbecue. Just for an hour, Mom said. Family sticks together. I don't know if that's true, but I drove over with a bowl of fruit and the numbness of a person who has been awake too long. You know the rest. Sienna's little show. Her friend holding a phone like a stage manager. The paper with a gold sticker. The pronouncement. I kept my composure for one reason. Noah had been very, very good at two things: recipes and preparation. After he found out the cancer took more than it gave, he started a folder called Ugly Day. He told me where it was the week we signed for the bungalow. Top shelf in the safe behind the cookbooks. Blue tab. I had forgotten about it because we were busy living. The day he died, I stood in the pantry staring at flour and canned tomatoes and couldn't find the combination. When I finally opened it, I pulled out only the life insurance info and the deed because that seemed practical. I hadn't touched the blue tab. Now I could feel it like a pulse through the wall. I looked around the yard. My dad cleared his throat and stood to say something fatherly and useless. Mom dabbed her face. Sienna adjusted her dress so the gold sticker on her document flashed in the sun. Zeke wasn't even there. He'd texted me earlier that he had a gig in Portland. Of course he did. I cut the cake. We sang. Rowan wore a paper crown and smeared frosting across his cheeks. He's a beautiful kid. He didn't ask for any of this. When the present started, I slipped inside to wash the knife. Mateo, Noah's sous chef, had arrived late and stood at the sink next to me without looking over. "You okay?" he asked, voice low. "I will be," I said. His jaw worked. "If you need me to say anything about Noah, I will." He wasn't that guy. "I know," I said. "Save it. I won't be fighting this in front of a stack of paper plates." Mateo nodded once. "Text me if you need muscle." Or a witness. He tapped the counter twice chef's habit and went back out. I dried the knife. I took another breath. I returned to the yard and hugged my mother before she could ask me to give Sienna the house keys out of compassion. "Congratulations on your name day, little man," I whispered against Rowan's soft hair. And to my sister, smiling through her victory pose, "We'll talk tomorrow." Her smile slipped. "Tomorrow? 10 a.m., my place. I'll bring my attorney," she said. "Bring whoever you trust." I left before anyone could stop me. The air outside the fence felt cooler like shade after heat. In my car, I let the laugh out where no one could see. It wasn't happy. It was the exhausted, disbelieving laugh of a person who has seen too much and is done apologizing for knowing the truth. On the drive home, I said Noah's name out loud. I do that when I need courage. He always said names anchor people. They make the room sturdier. At the bungalow, I locked the door, turned on the kitchen light, and reached up to the high shelf for the binders. Flour dust caught the beam like summer gnats. I spun the safe's dial with shaking fingers. 32 right, 4 left, 28 right, click. The door swung open. There it was. A blue folder with a sticky note in his big, careful print for when the day turns ugly. I didn't open it yet. I pressed it to my chest and stood in the kitchen he built inside the life we made and let myself feel everything at once. Grief, fury, relief, certainty. Tomorrow I would read every page. Tomorrow I would invite my sister to my table place those pages between us and keep my voice calm while the ground shifted. Tonight I set the blue folder on the counter, turned off the light, and went to bed with the porch door cracked so the wind chimes could remind me the air still moves. Morning smelled like coffee and old cedar. Light came through the kitchen in thin bands striping the counter where I'd left the blue folder. I stood there in Noah's sweatshirt with my hair in a knot and the kind of focus grief sometimes gives you. Clear, cold, useful. I opened the folder. Inside were tabs. Of course there were. He had labeled them with a black Sharpie steady hand all caps. Legal, medical, notes, contacts. There was even a USB stick taped to the inside cover with blue painter's tape and a line that read, "If paper fails." Under legal sat a will on thick paper. Real signatures, real witnesses, a recording number stamped by the county. Everything in Noah's tidy print, not cursive. Everything leaving the bungalow, his accounts the restaurant shares to me. Not to 207 Shoreline, to the bungalow. Under medical lab results from Virginia Mason. Sperm analysis. Azoospermia consistent with post-chemo damage. A letter from his oncologist explaining permanent infertility. Dates, seals, numbers. There was a copy of our old adoption intake half-finished tucked behind it. We hadn't been ready after his mom got sick. We thought we had time. Under notes, I found pages from a spiral notebook. Dates, short entries, restaurant nights. Times, Sienna showed up near closing and leaned over the prep counter laughing too loudly, asking if Noah could walk her to her car. A time she messaged him, "You up at 1:07 a.m. on a Tuesday?" He had replied, "Please don't text me like this." He had told me about that at the time. Seeing it in ink still stung. At the bottom was a single letter addressed to me. Not dramatic, not a goodbye. Just Noah, practical and soft, at once telling me I was not alone, that he was sorry this folder had to exist, that people panic when money is involved, and that the truth keeps its shape even when someone tries to stretch it. I slid everything back into place. I plugged in the USB. A screen opened with scans of the same papers and a short video file. Noah sat at our table in late afternoon light. He wore a baseball cap a little crooked. He looked straight into the camera. "If you ever need this," he said, "I'm sorry, but you have everything you need. Call Ava Rains. She knows where the originals are filed." He smiled a little. "Breathe, Mara. Then do what you do. Organize the room." I paused the video and pressed my palms to the table. 10 a.m. was not far off. I called the number on the contacts tab. "Rains and Bell," a voice said. I asked for Ava. She picked up like we were mid-conversation with the exact calm you want from an attorney. "I knew Noah," she said. "I am so sorry." I gave her the quick version. The barbecue, the codicil, the gold sticker, the meeting at my house. "I'll be there at 10:30, she said. "Don't show anything until I arrive. If she brings counsel, fine. If she brings a friend with a camera, fine. You have nothing to hide." "Should I record?" I asked. "Yes, if she consents. Washington is a two-party state. Say it plainly on audio. If she refuses, take notes in front of her. Date every page." I hung up and texted Mateo coming by. He answered fast. "On my way. Bagels." That made me smile for the first time that morning. He arrived 20 minutes later with a paper bag and a tired face. He looked around the kitchen as if Noah might come down the hall with a towel over his shoulder. He put cream cheese on a plate like he was plating halibut focus neat. "I found the folder," I said. He nodded once. Good. I told him what was inside. He didn't look surprised. He showed me the notebook entry the night she came to the back door at midnight, he said. He said, "I don't want this to mess with Mara's sister relationship." Like it was his job to protect everyone from everything. It was, I said. He tried. Mateo leaned on the counter. "You want me to be here?" "Yes," I said, quietly. No commentary unless she lies about the restaurant. He grinned without humor. "Copy?" At 9:50, my phone buzzed. A message from a number I didn't have saved. "Hey, this is Maya. I'm friends with Sienna. Please don't be mad. I think she's about to do something dumb. She asked me to film for her YouTube later when Mara freaks. I'm bowing out, just heads up." I stared at the screen. The room swam a little, then steadied. I typed back, "Thanks for letting me know. Please don't come." No reply. Another buzz. "My neighbor June, heads up C, just parked a white BMW in your spot. I told her to move. She ignored me." "You need backup." I smiled. June is 70 and carries more authority than most judges. "I'm okay," I texted. "Thank you." At 9:59 a.m., the doorbell rang. Sienna stood on the porch in a blazer and sunglasses. Beside her, a guy with a camera on a strap, mid-20s beard, canvas jacket. He looked excited like he'd won a contest. "No recording," I said, blocking the doorway with my body. "Not without consent." "We're just documenting," she said, "for transparency." "This is my house," I said. "We follow the law in my house." She rolled her eyes. "Fine." I let them in. I had already set the living room. 2 chairs facing each other, a low table between us, a small digital recorder next to a glass of water. Mateo sat at the far end of the couch, arms folded quiet. Sienna took off her sunglasses and scanned the room like a realtor. "You've redecorated," she said. "It's minimal." "Sit," I said. She sat. Camera guy hovered until I pointed at the hallway bench. "You can sit there," I told him. "No filming until we all agree." I clicked the recorder on. "It's 10:02 a.m. Saturday," I said. "We're at my home. Present are me, Mara Quinn, my sister Sienna Quinn, and Dax," the guy said. "And Dax. We're recording with everyone's consent." "Yes," I said. "Yes," Sienna said. "Sure," Dax said, already bored with the legal part. I folded my hands. My voice came out even. "Sienna, before we talk about documents, I want to hear your story, in your words. When, where, and how did you and Noah have a relationship?" Her mouth softened into a practiced sadness. It wasn't planned, she said. We started talking when you two were fighting. What were we fighting about, I asked. She blinked. Recovered. Stress, the restaurant, you never being home. I kept my face still. Dates, please. Spring, she said, 2 years ago. Specific, I said. She lifted her chin. April. We met at the Blue Star. He said he couldn't keep pretending with you. It was complicated. What did he drink that night, I asked. Noah didn't drink when he had a double shift the next day. He had wine, she said, red. He was allergic to red wine, I said. He broke out in hives. He joked that his skin was a lie detector. She flushed. Maybe it was beer. Why does that matter? It matters because details tell the truth, I said. Where else did you meet? Hotels, she said. The Radisson. There is no Radisson in Tacoma, I said. She glanced at Dax. He stared at the rug. We don't need to get hung up on hotels, she said. The point is he promised to take care of his son. That's what matters. I looked at the cheap gold sticker peeking from her leather folder. You brought the will? It's a codicil, she said. She slid it across the table like a magic trick. Signed, notarized. I didn't touch it. We'll address that when my attorney arrives. I glanced at the clock. She'll be here soon. Sienna's eyes narrowed. You called a lawyer for family. For law, I said. She inhaled like she was about to perform. I hate that it's come to this, Mara. I told you last night because I didn't want whispers. I wanted light. She leaned forward. Rowan is blood. I'm only asking for what Noah wanted. Mateo made a sound in his throat and looked away. Dax found a fascination with his shoelaces. Okay, I said. Let's talk about Rowan's father. Not feelings, facts. Silence hung just long enough to be uncomfortable. Zeke is not reliable, she said finally. He doesn't deserve to be a father. That's not what I asked, I said. Before she could fire back, the doorbell rang again. A clean, punctual ring. I felt my shoulders drop an inch. I opened the door to a woman in a navy suit, low heels messenger bag. Silver hoop earrings, clear eyes. Ms. Raines, I asked. Ava? She said and squeezed my hand. May I come in? Sienna scowled. You brought backup, so can I. By all means, I said. Invite whoever you trust. She grabbed her phone. A moment later, it buzzed in her palm. He's parking, she said a little too quickly. Ava set her bag on the table and surveyed the scene in one sweep recorder on glass of water leather folder, with a glittering sticker, a guy named Dax, a sous chef pretending to be a plant. She nodded, satisfied. Let's establish ground rules, she said. We will be civil. We will be clear. We will not argue hypotheticals. Fine, Sienna said. Great, Ava said. She opened her folder and took out a thick stack of papers secured with a red clip. She placed them on the table like she was putting down a chess piece. From the hallway, the front door opened without knocking. A man stepped inside. Tall, tan, washed-out band tee, the kind of facial hair that thinks it's better than everyone else. Zeke! Of course. He lifted his chin toward me like we were old friends. Let's make this quick, he said. I've got to be in Portland by 2. Perfect, Ava said smoothly. Names for the record. Zeke Ash, he said. She wrote it down. Thank you. Sienna's voice quivered in the quiet. Rowan deserves. Ava raised a hand. We're going to start with documents, she said. Then we'll hear statements. Then we'll discuss outcomes. Miss Quinn, she looked at me. Do you have something you want to say before we begin? I do, I said. I looked at my sister, at the camera guy, at the man who ghosted baby showers. I chose my words like stepping stones. Whatever happens in this room, I said we keep Rowan out of it. He is not leverage. He is not content. He's a child who needs adults to stop performing and start telling the truth. For a second, the room was still. Then Sienna laughed too loud, brittle. So dramatic, she said. Always the director. No, I said softly. Today I'm the archivist. I slid the blue folder onto the table and flipped to the first tab. Let's begin. Ava slid on reading glasses and tapped the recorder. We're starting with the will. Sienna pushed her codicil forward like a winning hand. The gold sticker winked. Ava didn't touch it. Who drafted this? A friend, Sienna said. It's simple language. Noah didn't like legalese. Ava smiled like a teacher about to grade. Noah Hale executed a formal will 3 years ago, she said, lifting the red-clipped stack from her bag. Filed in Pierce County, 2 witnesses, proper attestations. It leaves the bungalow to Mara. There's no later filing and no revocation. She placed the certified copy on the table. Note the style. He prints in block letters, not cursive. Zeke leaned back bored. Maybe he changed his mind. Then there would be a new will, Ava said. not a one-page note on hotel stationery. She finally picked up Sienna's page with gloved fingertips, and not with a notary seal that doesn't match the registry. Sienna's chin jerked. What do you mean? Ava angled the paper toward the light. All notaries have unique ID numbers. This one belongs to a woman in Spokane who retired last year. I called her on the way over. She clicked her pen and jotted the number on a legal pad. She has never met You Never notarized anything for Noah and doesn't own this stamp anymore. Silence. Even Dax looked up. Mateo blinked slow like a cat. Sienna's mouth worked. People make mistakes. Maybe the notary made a mistake traveling 280 miles to notarize a private letter on blank hotel paper. Ava's tone stayed mild. What hotel was this from? Sienna's eyes flicked to me. The Radisson. In Tacoma, Ava asked. Sienna swallowed. Yes. There isn't one, I said. Zeke snorted. Who cares about hotels? The kid's his. Ava set the codicil down like it might stain the wood. We'll come back to this. She turned to my blue folder. Medical. I opened the tab and slid out the oncologist's letter and the lab reports. Ava placed them between us and spoke slowly for the recorder. Exhibit A. Letter from Dr. Imani Shore. Virginia Mason, oncology, stating permanent infertility, secondary to chemotherapy at age 23. Exhibit B. 3 semen analyses over 4 years, each showing azoospermia. 0 viable sperm. There is no reversal to this. It's not a vasectomy. It's chemo damage. Zeke leaned forward, squinting at the numbers, like they might rearrange themselves. He could have done a procedure. He did, Ava said. He tried sperm retrieval twice. It failed. He and Mara began adoption intake. She touched the intake form, then paused when his mother got sick. Dates line up. There's also a video. I connected the USB. Noah's face filled the laptop screen. Sunlight hat crooked that small, steady smile. Dax's shoulders softened without meaning to. If you're watching this, Noah said, it's the ugly day. I'm sorry. Ava has the filings. Don't let anyone turn grief into leverage. Breathe. I hit pause. The room felt full and empty at once. Sienna stared at the screen as if it might change. He could still be Rowan's father, she whispered. People get miracle babies. Miracles have medical records, Ava said. Do you have any? She didn't answer. Her fingers worried the leather folder's edge until it creaked. I kept my voice low. If you believed Noah was Rowan's father, why didn't you tell him while he was alive? Her eyes flashed. Because you would have made it all about you. Mateo stood, then sat again. His jaw flexed. Ava slid a second paper forward. And this, she said, is a notarized statement from Noah's former sous chef, Mateo Alvarez, documenting that Mr. Hale repeatedly refused Ms. Quinn's advances and reported them to staff to protect boundaries. She glanced at Mateo. He nodded once for the recorder. He told me to walk her out the side door and never let her behind the line. Sienna laughed, jagged. Of course the kitchen boy defends his boss. Mateo's face didn't change. I defend the truth? Zeke rolled his eyes. This is a circus. Ava folded her hands. It doesn't have to be. Here's what happens next. She lifted her gaze to Sienna. You can retract your claim, apologize, and avoid criminal exposure. Or we move to stop a fraudulent claim in court. Forgery of testamentary documents is a felony. We will involve the prosecutor. Sienna went very still. It wasn't fear, not exactly. It was calculation. I'd seen that look on her since we were kids, right before she borrowed my jacket for a minute and didn't return it for 3 months. Zeke broke first. This is extortion. It's accountability, Ava said. Also, your name is on the lease at Sienna's apartment. She lifted a page I hadn't seen. The landlord filed an unlawful detainer action on Tuesday. 4 months arrears. Sienna's head snapped toward him. You said you paid. Zeke threw up his hands. I said I'd try. The band's in a lull. It's not like you have a job. I have brand deals, she shot back. Do you know how much a pediatric cardiology bill costs? The word landed heavy. Cardiology, I repeated. She looked down. Rowan has a murmur, she said, and for the first time her voice wavered. They're monitoring. He needs a scan next month. It's fine. It's manageable. Insurance sucks. The room shifted, not in Sienna's favor or mine, just toward the small life we were all pretending wasn't listening from another house. The funny thing is, I heard myself say you could have asked for help without destroying Noah. Tears sprang to her eyes like she'd been waiting for the cue. You never help unless you can control the terms. That's called a boundary, I said. It's what adults use so love doesn't drown them. Dax cleared his throat. Sienna? She didn't look at him. He scratched his beard. I'm not filming this, he said. And I can't be part of a lie. He dug his phone out and stared at it. Also, Maya texted me. She told Mara this morning. Sorry. Sienna whipped toward him. You told her. I told her I wasn't coming, he said. You asked me to capture Mara's meltdown. There isn't one. There's just paper. Ava nodded, like the universe had set the correct prop at the correct time. Ms. Quinn, here's my offer on Mara's behalf. She turned, checking my eyes before she said it. I nodded. One, Ava said, holding up a finger. You sign a sworn statement that your codicil is false, that Noah did not father Rowan, and that you will not assert any claim on the bungalow now or in the future. 2, you publicly retract your accusation and apologize to Mara and to Mr. Hale's memory. 3, you agree to financial counseling and a case manager for medical billing. 4, Mara will create a dedicated health trust for Rowan's care for the next 5 years, administered by a third-party trustee, not you, not Mara. Sienna stared. You're offering me money. I'm offering Rowan care, I said, with safeguards. What if I say no? Ava's voice stayed soft. Then we submit the will, the medical records, the video, and the notary statement to the court and the prosecutor. You risk charges and custody questions. We will also file a civil action for defamation of the dead. Washington recognizes it. It's messy. It will live online forever. I don't recommend it. Zeke laughed like this was all too big for him to hold. This is insane. What's insane, Ava said lightly, is bringing a YouTube camera to a will contest. We sat in that bright, careful quiet. I watched my sister's face go through 10 emotions in 10 seconds. Anger, shame, fear, calculation, a flash of tenderness when she thought about Rowan, then back to calculation. Sienna has always confused drama with power. Documentation turns drama into the shape it was hiding. She looked at me. If I do this, you'll stop talking to me. I'll stop pretending we're okay, I said. I'll still show up for Rowan. I'll speak to you like we're colleagues. We can build something better later if you want it. She inhaled, held it, let it out. I need a minute, she said, and stood so fast her chair scraped. Take 2, Ava said. Don't call anyone for advice. They won't sit with the outcome. You will. Sienna disappeared down the hall. We heard the bathroom door click. Water ran in the sink, then stopped. I stared at the blue folder on the table and thought of Noah's careful hands labeling tabs he hoped I would never need. Zeke slumped deeper. She's dramatic, he said to no one. Mateo finally turned his gaze on him. She's a parent, he said, so act like one. Zeke blinked offended. What's that supposed to mean? It means go to court and say you'll help, Mateo said. It means stop disappearing to Portland. Ava half smiled at him. Not legal advice, but not wrong. The bathroom door opened. Sienna returned with red eyes and no makeup like armor abandoned. She sat, hands flat on her knees. I'll sign, she said, but I won't do a video apology. No spectacle, Ava agreed. A written statement to family and anyone you told. And we'd like a meeting with Mom and Dad, today if possible. Sienna flinched. They'll kill me. They'll be disappointed, I said. They'll survive. Ava slid a templated affidavit across the table blank lines, waiting like open doors. We'll fill this out together, she said. You'll initial each page. Sienna picked up the pen. Her hand shook. What about Zeke? What about me, he said, affronted. Are you staying? She asked Small. He looked at the ceiling as if a lyric was up there. I've got Portland. She nodded once like a decision she already expected. Then go. He left without closing the door. June, my neighbor, appeared in the entry like a Deus Ex grandmother peering in. He left his bumper hanging in the fire lane, she announced. Should I call the tow, MGs? Please, I said. She winked at me and disappeared. Dax coughed into his sleeve to hide a smile. We filled in the affidavit. Names, dates, the false hotel, the fake notary, the lie. Sienna initialed each page like it cost her something, which in a way it did, the performance. When she signed, my chest went light and heavy at once. I slid the paper into a clear sleeve like it might dissolve. Good, Ava said, efficient again. Next steps, I'll file a notice disavowing the alleged codicil. Mara, you'll meet with a trustee Monday. Sienna, I'll send you 2 referrals, billing advocate and therapist. Sienna nodded, dazed. What about rent? We'll deal with housing after we talk to our parents, I said. One thing at a time. Ava closed her folder. Do we have an understanding about privacy? Sienna glanced at Dax. No videos, she said. He lifted his hands. I'm out. This isn't content, it's people. Thank you, I said. He nodded, embarrassed. I walked them to the door. Sun hit the cherry red paint bright as ever. The wind chimes flicked once. Sienna paused on the step like she might say something sisterly. She didn't. She said 2 o'clock at Mom and Dad's. 2, I said. She left with Dax, their figures shrinking down the sidewalk. I stood a minute longer and let my pulse slow to ordinary. Mateo washed the 2 glasses we'd used because kitchens are how he prays. Ava packed up, then looked at me with something like admiration. You were steady, she said. That kept it from spilling. I had a blueprint, I said, touching the blue tab. Keep it out, she said. We're not done. I nodded. 2 o'clock, I repeated, feeling the weight of old family furniture I was about to move. As she stepped onto the porch, my phone vibrated. Mom, can you both come here today? Sienna says there was a misunderstanding. I stared at the word. My throat went tight. I typed back, we'll be there at 2. Please don't invite anyone else. Ready, Mateo asked. No, I said, but I'm going. He grabbed his keys. I'll drive. You look like someone who should stare out a window. We locked the door. The house sighed. I slid the affidavit into the blue folder and tucked the folder under my arm like a small, solid animal. Mom's house smelled like lemon cleaner and canned cinnamon. The same oak table I'd done homework on sat in the same place, polished to a mirror. A bowl of green apples waited like props. Dad opened the door before I could knock. His tie was crooked. He kissed my forehead and looked past me, checking the driveway as if trouble wore a name tag. In the kitchen, he said, your mother's arranging. Arranging meant pretending control. She'd set placemats, lined the cutlery, turned the salt and pepper, so the holes faced north. When she saw me, her smile tried and failed. Sweetheart, she said. Sienna told us there was a misunderstanding. Not a misunderstanding, I said. A plan. Ava stepped in behind me, legal bag kneed against her side. Mateo waited on the porch like a quiet lighthouse. I'd asked him to stay outside unless I texted. He tipped his chin. I breathed easier. Sienna arrived 3 minutes late with red eyes and chapstick, no camera crew, no blazer armor. She hovered by the fridge like a teenager raiding leftovers. Mom pulled her in for a hug that lasted too long. We're going to speak plainly, Ava said, sliding into a chair as if she'd been coming here for years. She set the recorder in the center. Everyone consenting. Dad nodded. I nodded. Sienna hesitated, then sat. Mom put both hands on the table as if bracing for turbulence. Yes, she said, brittle. Ava clicked record. 2:05 p.m. Saturday, she said. Present Mara Quinn, her parents Ellen and Patrick Quinn, her sister Sienna Quinn, and attorney Ava Rains. Her tone softened. We're here to resolve statements made at a family gathering. Sienna stared at the apples. I lied, she said, voice small. Rowan isn't Noah's son. There was no affair. The paper I showed was fake. Mom flinched like someone snapped a rubber band. Dad's jaw flexed muscles I'd only seen when the car wouldn't start in winter. Why, he asked, quiet. Sienna swallowed. I panicked. Rent, medical bills, Zeke vanishing. I thought... She glanced at me. I thought I could pressure Mara to share the house. Mom covered her mouth. We could have helped with rent, she said, tears already pooling. You didn't need to. With 4 months' arrears, Ava asked, gentle but exact. An unlawful detainer was filed Tuesday. Mom blinked at the legal words like they were gnats. We would have found a way, she said, to no one. By co-signing another lease, Dad's voice had edges. Or pretending again that short-term fixes build long-term lives. Silence heavy and honest. Ava laid the affidavit on the table. Sienna has signed a statement retracting her claims, she said. We're asking you both to hear this once, so there are no more versions. Sienna read the first paragraph aloud. Hearing her own words made her wince. She moved through the pages, initialing where she'd missed a corner, pausing at the line that said no biological relationship. Dad folded his hands. Noah was a good man, he said. I didn't always understand him, but he was good. You threw dirt on his name because you were scared. I know, Sienna whispered. I'm sorry. Mom turned to me helplessly as if I had a lever for undoing. Mara, maybe you two could... She didn't finish. She didn't know how to ask me to pretend. We're not doing the rug, I said. No more sweeping. The clock clicked through a minute. The house settled the way old beams do. I'm creating a health trust for Rowan, I said. A real one. Third-party trustee receipts required. It won't be for rent cars or vacations. It will be for scans, prescriptions, and the things he needs that insurance won't touch. Mom's hands trembled. You'd do that after? I'd do it because of I said. Because he didn't ask for this. And because Noah would have wanted a child to be cared for, whatever the last name. Dad nodded once, gratitude and grief in the same motion. Conditions, he asked. Ava slid a printed sheet forward. Therapy for Sienna, financial counseling with a nonprofit, not a coach, on Instagram. Employment verified by pay stubs. And a public retraction, a letter to family and anyone she told. Mom frowned. Public must we? Ava didn't flinch. The accusation was public. The apology needs to match its size. Sienna stared at the ceiling, like maybe an easier script was written there. I'll write it, she said. No video. No spectacle, I agreed. Just truth. Dad exhaled a long-held breath. I can live with that. Mom picked at an invisible spot on the table, the gesture she uses when reality won't obey. This will follow us, she said. Church neighbors. It already follows us, I said. You just don't like where it leads. Mom's eyes flashed, the old defense rising. You've always been so harsh, Mara. So black and white. Your sister is desperate. I'm alive, I said quietly. My husband is not. She stood at a party and announced a lie to claim half of my house. Harsh is naming the harm. Dad reached for Mom's hand. She let him hold it. He squeezed. We have to stop rescuing the wrong way, Elle. Her shoulders dropped like a tent losing air. I told her to speak up, she said, voice cracking. Not to lie. I said, birthright would land better than inheritance. She winced at her own words. I thought if Mara heard it as family, she'd soften. There it was, the reveal. Not conspiracy, but gravity. The nudge that sends a marble into the wrong groove. You coached the wording, I said. It wasn't a question. She nodded, shame hot on her cheeks. I didn't know about the paper or the hotel. I swear, I just wanted peace. Peace without truth is theater, Ava said softly. It always ends with someone bleeding behind the curtain. We sat in it. The apples shone because they didn't know better. From the porch, my phone buzzed. Mateo, want water? I smiled without meaning to. Anchor. I texted back 5 minutes. Dad stood and went to the cabinet where he keeps the good glasses. He filled 4 with tap water like a ceremony. He set one in front of each of us. We drink, he said, and then we speak boundaries like adults. It was corny. It worked. I went first. I love Rowan, I said. I will be part of his life. I will not lend or give Sienna cash. I will not meet with Sienna alone until she has 6 consecutive therapy sessions. Any request goes through the trustee or Ava. If Sienna posts about me or Noah, the trust pauses for 90 days. Sienna's mouth opened, closed. She nodded. Okay. Dad's turn. We won't cover your rent, he told Sienna. We will help with childcare while you work. We will drive you to counseling. We will not lie for you again. Not to landlords, not to friends, not to ourselves. Sienna's face crumpled and then reknit. Okay, she said again, smaller. Mom's voice was a thread. I will stop managing, she said. I will call you to listen, not to instruct. I will apologize to Mara for choosing harmony over honesty. I felt the words land like a bandage, not healing, covering, necessary. Ava gathered the pages. I'll send the letter template tonight, she said. Short, clear, no excuses, no ifs. You'll sign date and send it to the same audience who heard the lie. Mom winced at audience. Sienna's thumbs twitched for a phone she wasn't holding. 2 more things, Ava added. Zeke's name is on your lease. He's left the building, but that doesn't erase liability. I recommend you file for support formally and talk to legal aid about custody. Second, remove your YouTube backlog involving Rowan until you have guidance. Minors and medical conditions online is a legal hornet's nest. Sienna looked stabbed. It's my income. It's his life, I said. We stood. The room felt taller. Dad hugged me first, hard and fast. I should have pushed back years ago, he said into my hair. I'm sorry. I know, I said. We start now. Mom turned to me with damp eyes. Can you ever forgive? I can start trusting receipts, I said. Forgiveness lives where receipts live. She almost laughed. Almost. At the door, Sienna stopped. Will you still see Rowan this week? Yes, I said. Wednesday afternoon. Park and popsicles. Okay, she said. Her shoulders dropped in something close to relief. I'll write the letter tonight. She stepped into light. The sky was brutally blue. People drove by on errands that had nothing to do with us. Mateo handed me a bottle of water like it might break the spell. I took it. How'd it go? He asked. We set the room, I said. No one flipped the table. He grinned. High bar. Ava checked her watch. I'll draft filings, she said. Expect noise. People don't sit quietly when you take away the stage. Online, I asked. Probably, she said. Mute what you need to mute. Send me screenshots of anything actionable. On cue, my phone pinged. A DM request from an account with a heart in the handle. How could you do that to your sis Griefgreed? Sienna hadn't posted yet. Rumors travel faster than letters. I blocked. I put the phone in my pocket. The wind chimes on my mother's porch made one small sound. Out on the street, a kid in a red helmet learned to balance without training wheels wobbling, then straightening, then gliding. We walked to the car. Mateo drove. I looked out the window like a person finally allowed to look far. The water was silver. The mountain pretended it didn't have a volcano under it. Tacoma did what cities do, carried on. Back at the bungalow, I set the blue folder on the counter and opened a drawer for new tabs. I added 2 trust and statements. It felt like placing stones across a stream. Hungry, Mateo asked. Starving, I said. He put a pot on the stove. The flame caught with a soft whoomph. We didn't talk much. Boiling water sounds like rain when your body needs quiet. When we finally ate, I texted Ava a thank you, then typed 3 words to Sienna waiting for letter. A bubble popped up, then disappeared, then returned. Writing she sent. I put the phone face down. The house hummed. I watched the doorframe for a second, the red paint glowing like it had its own small heart. The post went up at 8:12 a.m., not mine. Sienna's friend Jenna New Handle Same Glitter Fonts dropped a story slide. A photo of my red door with the caption, Some people hoard houses and hearts. Let Rowan in. Then a carousel, a screenshot of Sienna's old barbecue announcement, the fake codicil cropped, and a poll, should family share yes, no. I didn't follow her. Maya sent screenshots with a single word, Hari. By 9, my DMs were a bonfire. Greed isn't grief. Give her the keys, kid first. Strangers explained ethics like they invented it. Someone pasted my address in a comment. Another offered to mediate on live. Ava texted, I'm filing notices. Do not engage. Document everything. I screenshotted until my thumb cramped. Mateo slid a coffee across the counter and said bagel like the house wasn't trending. People are coming, June called from the sidewalk. 2 cars just slowed to film your door. I stepped onto the porch. 3 20-somethings in matching hoodies pointed a phone at my house like it owed them content. One did a slow pan to the street sign, then to my flower boxes. I went still. Animals do that when they decide not to run. No filming on my property, I said, voice even. We're on the sidewalk, the tallest, said Legal Wisdom, courtesy of a TikTok. June turned her hose nozzle from gentle rain to jet. She didn't spray. She looked ready. Sidewalk City, she said. But my water reaches. They laughed and backed up. We're just here for the story, one called. Then read a book, June said, and clicked the hose off without breaking eye contact. I went back inside and shut the door like a stage curtain. My phone buzzed again. Sienna, I'm writing the letter. It's harder than I thought. I didn't reply. At 10, the apology arrived in my inbox. 3 paragraphs. No hashtags, no excuses. I lied about Noah. I forged a paper. I hurt my sister and our family. I'm sorry. Good bones. Ava suggested 2 edits change mistakes were made to I made choices an ad. I will not discuss this online. Sienna agreed. She sent it to the people who heard the lie. The part of the internet that wanted a brawl yawned at a letter. Peace doesn't go viral. At noon, a new problem knocked in a Navy windbreaker. City code, he said, flashing a badge. We got a complaint about unpermitted renovations. Anonymous. Of course. I led him through the bungalow. He measured cabinet heights like they might confess. He peered at outlets. He squinted at the porch swing Noah and I rebuilt on a Saturday with lemonade and splinters. These were permitted, I said, pulling a folder. Yellow tabs this time. Here, final inspection 3 summers ago. He checked, then relaxed into human. I figured, he said. Happens when a house goes on Facebook. He hesitated in the doorway. I liked Copperline, he added, almost shy. Your husband cooked my anniversary dinner. Thank you, I said. The words caught. I'm glad you came to celebrate. He tipped his hat old-fashioned. Call me if anyone trespasses, he said. Don't handle crowds alone. He left. I put the permits back. My hands shook after the study. At 2, Ava called. Good news, she said. 3 platforms removed the fake will slides. Bad news, one account posted a clip from the barbecue your face when Sienna spoke. They're calling it Ice Queen. I put a knife down instead of throwing it, I said. That's not ice, that's adulthood. Doesn't matter, she said. We keep moving. Trustee appointment at 4. You still good? I'm good, I said. I'm angry, but good. At 3:30, I drove to the bank with the blue folder on the passenger seat like a seat-belted child. Ava met me in the lobby with a woman in a knit dress and sensible shoes. This is Lila, Ava said. She'll administer the trust. Lila shook my hand with dry palms and clear eyes. I don't do drama, she said. I do receipts and reminders. If it's for Rowan's health or development, I pay fast. If it's not, I say no. Perfect, I said. We signed papers with pens chained to the desk. Lines, dates, wiring details. A separate email for reimbursements. No Venmo, Lila said. No cash. Always a trail. I exhaled something I'd been holding since the barbecue. Thank you. Back home, the block felt calmer. June sat on her porch with a crossword and a baseball cap that said, Nope. She gave me a thumbs up. The hose lay coiled like a sleeping snake. Inside, Mateo had made soup. The house smelled like garlic and thyme. He ladled it into bowls and slid one to my side of the island. Eat before you read more, he said. I can do both. I said, then put my phone face down and ate. We were rinsing bowls when tires squealed out front. A white sedan stopped wrong in the lane. Doors slammed. A voice I recognized carried through the open window. Zeke. He didn't knock. He shouted. Mara, you can't cut me out of my son's life. My skin prickled. He's early, Mateo said. Wrong house, I said. We stepped onto the porch. Zeke stood at the curb, chin jutted 3 friends behind him like punctuation. A phone filmed from across the street. Not Dax. Some other kid who wanted a clip. This is harassment, I called. Leave. You think you can buy him? Zeke hollered. With your attorney and your trust fund? He's my blood. Then show up at family court, I said. File for support, show up for scans, stop shouting at my door. He took a step onto the walkway. Mateo moved without thinking, placing himself half a body in front of me. He didn't puff up. He just stood like a rock, Zeke sneered. What are you, security? Dishwasher, Mateo said. And I'm tired. June clicked her hose to Jed. Ava's number lit my screen. I answered. She didn't bother with hello. He's there. He's shouting. Police non-emergency, she said. Then text Sienna your guest your problem. I dialed. The operator was calm. I gave my address. He's on the sidewalk yelling. He stepped on my path once. My neighbor can attest. Officers en route, she said. I texted Sienna. Your ex is at my curb. Get him or I'll get a restraining order. She replied in seconds. I'm coming. I'm sorry. Please don't call CPS. The last line punched. Someone had threatened her with that already. The internet loves false reports. 2 patrol cars slid in quiet. Not lights, not sirens. The officers stepped out palms open. Afternoon 1 said, we got a call. Zeke launched into a speech about father's rights. The officer listened, then pointed at the street. This isn't the place, he said. Take it to the courthouse. I have a show, Zeke said. Then you have time, the officer said. Move the car. You're blocking a lane. Zeke muttered, kicked a tire, and got back in the sedan. His friend kept filming until June raised the hose an inch. The boy flinched and looked at his shoes. Sienna arrived on foot hair in a knot, sneakers untied. She crossed to the officer first. I'm sorry, she said. I didn't ask him to come here. Keep it that way, he said. We'll file a trespass advisory. He returns, we escalate. Sienna nodded and then looked at me. I'm sorry, she said again, hoarse. I told him about the trust and he freaked. He thinks it makes him look like a deadbeat. If the shoe fits, Mateo murmured. I met her eyes. He doesn't come here again, I said. If he shows up, the trust pauses. If anyone posts my address, I file. She swallowed. Okay. She backed away like the house might burn her. Zeke peeled out doing that dramatic turn people do when they have more rage than gas money. The officers left with quiet notes and the kind of sympathy that doesn't belong to either side, only to the neighbors. The block exhaled. I did too. My hands shook then steadied. Inside, I added 2 new tabs to the drawer restrainers and platform. It felt petty. It felt right. Protect then process. Ava texted, good instincts. I'll draft a civil standby letter for the precinct. Also, I found the designer who made the fake notary template. Clay, he posted a time lapse. We have it archived. Of course he did. The internet never met a crime it didn't want to brand. Do I press charges? I asked. Not today, she said. We hold it in reserve. At 6, Sienna's letter hit the group text with our parents, aunts, cousins, and 2 church friends who would definitely discuss it at length. She did not decorate it. She did not center it on a pastel background. She used plain black text and her full name. My mother replied with a single heart. My father wrote, "Thank you for telling the truth," and then called me to say he'd mow my lawn tomorrow because moving helps me think. At 7, Copperline posted a photo of Noah on the restaurant account. Chef's jacket, laugh lines. Caption, "We miss you. We do it your way." The comments were kind. Photos of plates. Memories of anniversaries, birthdays, Tuesday nights. That is the internet I believe in. The one that builds a table and leaves a chair open. By 9, the street was quiet. The hose slept. The mountain shrugged itself into evening. I brushed my teeth and stared at my face in the mirror, a face I knew and didn't. Grief draws new maps. Boundaries draw borders. In bed with the window cracked so the wind chimes could count breaths. I thought about the week ahead. Lila would start processing medical bills. Sienna would start therapy or lose help. Zeke would decide whether to be a father in court or a hashtag online. I would keep receipts and keep breathing. I turned off the light. The house settled. The blue folder slept on the table like a guardian. Somewhere down the block, a train sang to the night. Morning started with gulls and a kettle. No sirens, no door cams pinging. The wind chimes counted a soft 3 and stopped like a promise kept. I sat at the table with the blue folder. It was fatter now, not from panic, but from structure. Trust, statements, housing, court, receipts tucked like leaves. I still hated that it had to exist. I loved that it did. 9 months had passed. The internet found another fire. Our street forgot my red door except for the people who actually used it. Lila ran the trust like a metronome. Bills and approvals out. She sent me monthly summaries in plain language. Cardiology follow-up covered. Speech therapy approved. Out-of-network test denied, referred in-network. No drama, just care. Rowan grew into his cheeks. The murmur stayed small. He learned colors and dinosaur roars. At scans, he asked for stickers with sharks. Doctors obliged because he said please. Sienna went to therapy. Not every week. Enough. She sent me photos of completed worksheets like a kid bringing home a gold star. She got a job at a dental office answering phones with a smile you could hear. She learned to say, "Let me check your benefits," without apologizing for insurance being insurance. The letter she'd sent in part 5 didn't go viral. It did something better. It sat in people's inboxes like a weight. Our aunts called and said they were praying in actual practical ways, casseroles and rides, not hashtags. Mom stopped curating our lives like a bulletin board. She listened to silence without stuffing it with advice. Dad fixed my porch light and then, for the first time in my memory, told Sienna no and stuck to it. He looked younger the day after. Zeke, he missed the first child support hearing. The judge did not find that charming. He showed it the next with a cheap suit and a story. The court ordered a payment plan and a parenting class. He posted less, he paid some, he stopped visiting my curb. The trespass warning stayed pinned to our precinct board like a label under a pinned moth. Copperline kept breathing. Mateo became chef, not because anyone replaced Noah, but because someone had to hold the line. Once a month they ran Noah night. The menu changed, but the rules didn't call the farmer by name, salt early, greet the dishwasher first. At the end of the second one, Mateo brought a plate to the bar and left it in front of me. Clams, fennel, a wedge of lemon. He didn't say, "This is what Noah would have made." He said hot plate because some habits hold you up. We built small rituals, Wednesday Park and popsicles. Rowan learned to say Auntie M and then said it all the time as if I might forget who I was. Sienna and I exchanged drop-offs like co-workers trading shifts. On the third Wednesday, she surprised me. "Do you want to come to the Tide Flats with us?" she asked. Not a performance, a question. We went. Rowan threw bits of bread into the air like confetti for gulls. Sienna watched him and then said, without looking at me, "I see how I got here. I don't like it. But I see it." She didn't cry. She didn't ask me to absolve her. Progress looks boring from far away. Up close, it's a miracle. I made something too. Not a foundation with a gala. A checklist. The ugly day kit Noah would have named it. I hosted a Saturday at the community center with Ava. We set up long tables and coffee and a printer that listened. I taught people how to assemble Will's Health Proxy's passwords, bill logs, contact sheets. June manned the sign-in with a clipboard and a Nope visor. 82 people left with blue folders they bought for $1 and a sense that calm can be made. Morbid, one man muttered. Practical, June said, clicking her pen in a way that dared him to argue. I slept better after that. So did June. So did the people who'd been meaning to do it next month for 6 years. The house changed in small, stubborn ways. I replanted the box outside our bedroom with rosemary and thyme, because grief is easier when something needs water. I moved Noah's jackets to the hall closet one at a time, talking to him as I did it. You okay with the blue one here? I asked like a fool. The house didn't answer. The air felt warm anyway. Sienna posted less. When she did, it was Rowan's hand holding a leaf, not his medical chart. She learned that some stories stop being hers when they start being about him. She wrote a note to Noah's parents, 2 pages, no decorative borders, and drove it to their house herself. She stood on their porch and apologized. His father listened and looked at the yard. His mother hugged her. When Sienna came back to the car, she cried into the steering wheel. She didn't film it. Mom and I invented a new way to talk. 12-minute calls. She gets 6, I get 6. If she starts fixing, I say, we're at minute 5, and she laughs because she actually hears herself. She brings casseroles in aluminum pans now because she knows I return Tupperware late and with guilt. On a Sunday in late spring, I took Rowan to the farmer's market. He wore dinosaurs and rain boots even though the sun was out. He held my hand like he'd never let go. We bought peaches that weren't ready and a bunch of sunflowers that were too tall for any vase I owned. He saw a busker and danced like his knees had springs. A woman in line looked at me and said, "He has your eyes." I smiled and didn't correct her. The facts mattered in court. They didn't matter here. Later at the bungalow, I found Mateo sitting on the porch steps with June. They were sharing a bag of kettle chips like a peace treaty between generations. June had a new baseball cap. Still nope. Mateo handed Rowan a chip with ceremony. "For you, sir," he said. Rowan bowed because I taught him one silly bow, and he thinks it works for everything. Maybe it does. We ate on the steps. We talked about nothing beautiful. The weather, the price of asparagus, whether the team would ever find a bullpen. Ordinary is underrated until it leaves. When it comes back even a little, you hold it with both hands. At dusk, I took out the letter Noah left me and read it again. Not because I needed to, but because it felt like visiting. Don't let anyone turn grief into leverage, he'd said. The world will keep trying. The trick is to build a room that fits the truth and invite only people who can sit still. I put the letter away. I closed the blue folder and slid it back into the safe with the combination that will be muscle memory forever. I added a note on top for later Mara. You did it. Open only for receipts, not for fear. The wind chimes made one soft sound. I turned off the porch light and sat in the dark for a minute, letting the day find its edges. The mountain hid in the night like it always does when it's tired of being looked at. Here's the part where YouTube wants me to wrap it up with a bow. I won't. Life isn't gift-wrapped. It's stacked like dishes careful chipped used every day. But I will say this. Documentation is kindness. Boundaries are love. Quiet is earned. If you're walking through family fire, build your kit. Write things down. Invite a witness. Say no without a speech. Say yes with a receipt. And when the crowd arrives, remember they leave hungry for the next story. Feed your life, not their page. Tell me something. What boundary did you set that changed your family? What paper did you finally file that let you sleep? Drop it in the comments if you want, or just sit with it tonight the way I'm sitting with mine. The house breathes. The porch swing holds. The red door glows in the dark like a small, stubborn heart. And for the first time in a long time, I believe the morning will be quiet again.